Welcome everyone to Truth Bomb Live. Yay! We're having fun today because we're playing with all kinds of social media and trying to figure out, can we do this in multiple places? There
Yes.
are some really great technologies today, like StreamYard, that can help you to stream to multiple social media platforms. Unfortunately, Clapper is not one of those places that can do that yet. But I have a feeling that if Clapper keeps its momentum going, if people continue to want to use the platform, it may be one of those platforms that becomes a big deal. We'll see though. I mean, it's fun to play with this stuff. So, anyways, in case you haven't met me, I'm Kieran Angeli. I'm one of the co-founders here inside of Truth Bomb Marketing, and we're going to have fun today. I feel like I don't know, like there's just been a lot of great things happening for me, and I'm just like I want to hear what's going on with you, Katrina. So, let's go.
Oh no, this is our conversation that's a real conversation, right?
Mhm.
Because we're talking about the Female Millionaire Code, which is so critical because we're in a place now where women are recognizing and they're discovering for themselves that building the business the way that we've been male modeling for so long isn't working for us. And we're seeing that because we have a lot of women that are burning out and everything else. So that's the topic of today. So if you're a female entrepreneur that is in business, that has been struggling to build out there, feels like you're a fake, a fraud, a phony, you're not alone. Actually, I have yet to meet a female entrepreneur that hasn't had this conversation with me. So who am I? Hey, let's probably introduce myself. My name is Chef Katrina. I am with Karen here. We've been building out Truth Bomb Academy and really focusing in on female entrepreneurship. I didn't think this was where I was going to end up when I first got started in the world of entrepreneurship. I will tell you that right now, Karen. This was not I never imagined for a moment that I would transition to speaking to women only because I thought honestly that marketing was marketing, business was business. Why would you ever want to follow anything different than what's been proven out there for centuries, if not decades, around how to build a business, how to get started, how to manage your money in business? You have the profit and loss system, you have all these different things out there. And what's been interesting is that the more women I've talked to, and the more women that have been in that world and had success or had success and failures, right? So first attempt in learning, they've tried a lot of things, nothing seems to fit, and ends up most women leave the entrepreneurial world and head back into the job because they are unable to find that balance that is so promised in the world of entrepreneurship for women. And that's a lot of times why women get into this is they want that life balance. They want to be able to take care of their family, make some income, retire their partner, all these things. And that's just not happening for us,
Yeah.
really.
Well, I mean, one piece of the puzzle that you said, I'm going to back it up for just a second because
Ooh, I like
you
when you back it up. Back it up,
yeah,
baby. Back it
back
up.
it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that you said is that you never felt like you were going to be in this conversation with
Yeah.
female entrepreneurs. I personally never thought that I would be having the conversations that I'm currently having. So,
Mm,
my past life, and I say past life in like this current life, but like my how I used to be is I used to be very religious, very I was brought up in a Baptist Christian home. And a lot of the concepts that I teach today are very like extremely taboo in the Christian world. But when I started diving into the world of entrepreneurship, I realized that my mind and my thoughts was the most important piece of the puzzle. And the further I went down that rabbit hole of figuring out my mind and my thoughts, the more I realized that concepts like manifestation are incredibly important for us as human beings to understand. And actually, like if I look at the Bible still, I can't believe I'm going into a religious world right now, but here I am talking about this. So, but when I look at the Bible today, I actually see a lot of the concepts that I teach now are actually mirrored in there that I didn't notice before because I had a different perspective. I had a different viewpoint. So, I think like the whole concept of like you said, Katrina, like I didn't expect that I was going to be doing female entrepreneurship. I didn't expect to be having this conversation either, where it's talking about our mindset and manifestation and what kind of creators we as females actually are. And I personally feel like that's the most important conversation, because at the end of the day, that is what creates the millions, whether it's the million moments that you have with your kids, whether it's the $1,000,000, whether it's the million ideas that you have. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. And I think that this is the thing that's really missing for a lot of women, is the piece of the puzzle that you can actually be a creator and you can spend most of your time in that creative state. And that if you actually are working on your thoughts, if you actually are working on what's going on behind what the facade that you're putting out, is it a facade or is it reality of what's actually going inside? So for me, when I started to balance what I was showing outside with what I was feeling inside, and it started to be the exact same mirror, it started to become, life started to become better for me, if that makes sense. So I used to be a very anxious person internally, but nobody knew it because I had a facade on the outside. And now I actually feel like how I feel inside is what I'm portraying to the rest of the world. And I think that this is the piece of the puzzle that a lot of women are missing in their business.
Well, let's ask them. I mean, honestly, for those that are watching on either on YouTube Live or with us on Clapper, do you feel like you're faking it as a female entrepreneur? Do you feel like it's a facade that you're putting on? Do you feel like and a lot of the times we're told to follow methodologies and marketing strategies and money strategies that feel very inauthentic to us. I mean, have you ever asked yourself, oh, that was not something I would ever say, but you're being told by these gurus and everything else that this is how you should be portraying yourself. This is how you should show up on social media. This is how you need to look professional. And the thing is women's professional is vastly different from men professional, just so you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's nothing like what they portrayed out there. And when you talk about, when you said, okay, you came from a very Baptist Christian background, right? And the influence of that, and then what we're talking about now, it's so funny because 15 years ago, back in 2008, when I first got started in the world of digital marketing and online marketing, we always said mindset was the most important piece. Mm-hmm. But we also said that nobody would pay for mindset training. We actually said that. I mean, honestly, if you've ever followed any of the gurus out there, anybody, they'll tell you this over and over again. The one thing they know is that the mindset dictates everything, but people were unwilling to pay for mindset training because it didn't put dollars in the bank account. It wasn't the tangible. And this, I know, right?
That makes me want to die inside, because that's not something I ever heard. It was always like the mindset, the most important piece.
Well, yeah, but I worked a lot behind the scenes with a lot of different gurus, and we always talked about this. We always talked about mindset. We always talked about how critical it was to set your mind up for success. And there's multiple different ways that we came across this. Right. There's a lot of different things that we said about this. And what's interesting was that even though we said mindset wasn't the most important, or people weren't going to pay for it, I think now more than ever, because of what happened in 2020, and there's so much talk and conversation around it, I think people are recognizing that they are needing that mental health. They are needing that mental mindset training that's out there. And while it's been in entrepreneurship finds this really faster than anybody else. If you actually are looking to grow yourself and your business, you will find it faster in entrepreneurship than anything else. I just watched a video earlier this morning about a young lady who was ranting about how her job doesn't pay her enough to cover her basic expenses. So her generation doesn't want to work anymore because it's just not worth it. And I'm like, welcome to every generation. I have yet to hear that conversation not exist in any generation. True. Every generation has said exactly what you're saying. You're not saying anything new in the world right now, but it's perception, right? And she said the same thing our parents have said, and even I said, heck, how many of you guys have read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad? I think it was even in there back in the early 1990s. It says, go to school, go to college, get a good education, and retire. This girl literally 20, 30 years later has said the exact same thing. And I was like, you're just reiterating everything that we've been perpetually holding on in the cycle. You're literally saying the exact same thing that's been said over and over again every 20 to 30 years. Nothing's changed for you. And a lot of that has to do with the mental mindset that we're developing, right? Yeah, so it is part of that process. And when you become an entrepreneur, we dive into that. because it's a critical piece of our success. The mind drives everything we do. It drives our fear factor. We talk about that a lot inside of, Truth Bomb Academy. We talk a lot about the money mindset. Women undervalue themselves in so many ways.
Oh,
Oh
absolutely.
my gosh,
It's
right?
kind of sad.
It is. Well, and it's so funny because I've been a course creator also, and I've bought a lot of courses that teach course creation. I've been in that world for at least 10 years, right? And I remember always looking for, like, how do you price your course? And for those of you that are building out courses or coaching programs, that's like the number one question, like, how do I price this? What's the ideal price, right? And some of you might have a problem with charging 1,500, 2,000, 10,000, 30,000, 100,000 for what you're offering, right? Some of those numbers for women seem just astronomical. What was interesting is that we were told if we added a template, right? Something like, I'm just holding this up. I know this is our workbook for the Female Millionaire Code. So this is a little plug, by the way. This is the Female Millionaire Code. This is the plug for it. And what was interesting, it's like, if you add a worksheet, add an extra $5. If you add this, add an extra $10. And it was all based on your productivity of what you were doing, right? And it didn't account for all the time you put into it. It didn't account for all of the creativity, the thought process, the thinking, the development, all of that. None of that was even addressed inside the pricing. But they said the best pricing was somewhere between, $97, $47, sell it for cheap, use that as your lead magnet, don't go too high. And I was like, wait a minute. And this took years of training this. I mean, oh my gosh, years of training this. But then I always had the question, but people go to college, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
they're paying,
How
like,
much do you spend to go to college? Like, let's
dear
talk about that.
God, right?
Ooh.
You're spending so much to go to college for a class that's going to lead you towards a degree in paper, right? And
Right.
yet you have somebody that's teaching you a skill set, like an actual skill set, something you can take to the bank, and you freak out over $47 or over $199 or over $500, right? Like, you spent, what is that? I think it's 30 hours in a classroom to be lectured to, that in some respects, you can't even take that into the real world and use it, right? Because it's not practical. And so there's this back and forth around what women define themselves worth. And then what we end up doing as women, and I'm sorry, I did it too, so I'm pointing fingers here at myself. What we end up doing is saying, okay, how much is an hour of my time worth, right? So now we're putting self-worth into our product. Right?
Yeah, and the problem is that a lot of women have very low self-worth because we've been taught as children that women should be seen, not heard. Like, this is stuff that I heard when I was a child. Like, in the religious background, I was never allowed to be a pastor or somebody that was seen at the head of the church. That wasn't allowed. So what kind of mindset and mentality does that put into a girl, whether she knows it consciously or not? Like, here, that's the piece of the puzzle that we forget when we say to women, oh, you can't have XYZ job because you have female parts. It's like, at the end of the day, what happens is, in our child minds, we make that mean something that it doesn't actually mean. So it actually affects our self-worth pretty dramatically. And it's a subconscious behavior that we have no idea is even there most of the time, unless we actually start digging in and going, okay, is that there? Do I actually feel that way? And sometimes it's not evident until you actually start diving further into what are the thoughts you're thinking on a regular basis. I know for myself, I'm writing them down and going, oh, I need to actually rein that in.
Well, it goes back to, like, when I back to what we've all learned and everything else. And there's these hidden gems, these hidden books out there, and there are things like Think and Grow Rich, right? And we've actually read that as a company together. The founders, all of us got together and we read through that at the beginning, I think, of this year, if I'm not mistaken.
It was this year, right?
God, I can't believe it was just this year that we did this.
I know.
But the fun part about that was that we actually looked at it from a female perspective. Even as we were going through it, we said, where would this shift and change for women? How would our thinking or our feelings change around this, right? And so we really actually addressed a lot of the male philosophies that are out there, which are really sound. But here's what I know is that women actually flip the script. So there's a mirror image of that. There's a yin and a yang to that. So there's the Think and Grow Rich for men, and there's actually a Think and Grow Rich for women, because we are coming at it a little differently. We come at it with a different approach. We come at it from a different feeling, honestly. And that's what the beauty of is that we need the yin and yang in business. That's how we create more profitable businesses. That's how we create sustainable businesses. That's how we come up with a lot more creativity. And really, if you look at it, and I've talked with a lot of women in different industries and different businesses, the one thing they keep telling me is like, I've built the relationships that have saved this company 30, 40, $50,000 a year in, in profits, right? Or in loss in revenue.
Right.
And so I've saved them this money because of the relationship I built with this vendor. Right. I've been able to cultivate this environment in my area, right? Or in my section of my business, right? So women have this really super secret, sexy superpower, but it's not valued as a superpower for profitability because it's just something we innately do. But men innately do things also, but we've added a value to that one because they've had longer to give value to their activities, where women haven't had quite as long in this industry. We've been about 60 years, ladies, that we've been able to open our own bank account and start our own business. Seriously, 60 years, okay? So learning how to value our skill set is something that we're really bringing to the table for the first time. And I think that's some of the fun piece that we're unlocking within our training, Unlocking My Millions, is that we're showing women how to unlock that financial roadblock, those financial little skill sets in there. Because honestly, we were talking about this the other day, Karen, how many, I think what was it? It was something like, women own the majority of the money, or not own, but hold the purses to the majority of the money. Like every family, usually the women is the one that's controlling the groceries, paying the bills, a lot of that. Like I know there's some blend out there in the world, but typically women actually, it's been documented in their stats and you can go find it too. But women actually spend and control more of the money in today's economy than the men do. But the question is, why aren't women then valuing themselves at a higher price point? If you actually control that much money, billions, women control billions, if not trillions of dollars of the economy and where we spend our money. We have more buying power than our male colleagues do. Yet we're less likely to value our price and our products for what they're really worth.
It really, and it does come back to that self-worth. And how do we actually view ourselves as business owners? Do we view ourselves, and I feel like a lot of females don't necessarily view themselves as a powerful CEO, because maybe that powerful CEO has negative connotations in their mind. And they feel like if I'm a powerful CEO, it means that I've stepped on somebody along the way. But how can we flip that script, reframe that? Because I don't feel like that's an actual reality. I think the reality is that if you're a powerful CEO of an awesome company, what kind of impact can you as a female have on not only the people that you're serving, but the people in the world that either they currently know you or they will know you at some point from all of the content, all of the creations, all of the stuff that you've put into the world to help people. Like that's the piece of the puzzle I want more females to actually grab and go, oh, okay, my product isn't just a product or service. It's something that can create impact for people. Whether you're making candles or you're teaching somebody how to do yoga or you're teaching somebody how to do photography, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you have a drive, you have a desire for a reason. So what in the world is stopping us from allowing ourselves to be that millionaire in our business? What in the world is going on in our brains that we feel like it's not okay for me to create the millions in my life? And we've had this conversation a bunch
so many
recently.
times.
We'll ask women, hey, do you want to be a millionaire? No, not really. What? That makes zero sense to me, because for me, I have spent a lot of time working on a business, wanting to grow a business for the sheer fact of, yes, I want to create the millions because the millions means that I'm making a massive impact for other people. And I think that that's the reframing that we have to remember as women is that, yes, like the millions, great, it should reflect in our bank account. But what reflects more is the fact that we've had this massive reach, this massive impact for and with other people.
Yeah, and we're getting lots of love over here on Clapper for that one, that comment, because it is important. It is, women do perceive money differently. We think about it differently. We think about its impact on a more global or holistic scale than our male counterparts. Women go into business saying, how can I help more people? Men go into business typically, not saying this is either or, this can go both ways, but typically, how do I make more money?
Yes.
Right. It's literally money over everything, because it's a provider. It's a status. It's an ego, and the men are peacocks. Let's face it. You guys like to show it off, right?
And
And
that's okay.
that's part of that society.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And that's your protector. That's like some of your instinctual, genetic coding from being a human being. And at the same time, women go, yes, I want the money, but what can I do with the money? Right. And so it just has a little bit of a different flip or flair to, I guess you could say, to it. And that's what's fun about this. And I think one of the great things that we discovered inside of Unlocking My Millions and what we put together for female entrepreneurs is a money management system. And it took us a long time to find this, honestly.
Yeah, and let's talk about all the work that Heidi has put into this. I feel like she's done a phenomenal job. Guys, if you haven't seen Heidi and seen her train on this, she does a phenomenal job of showing you how to start creating profit for yourself first in your business.
Yep.
Because if you're not creating profit first,
why are you in business?
Yeah, we're probably going to be really frustrated with where you are in business a year or two down the road, because you're like, where'd all my money go? I'm making all this money. I'm making millions, but I'm only bringing in this much money. What in the world?
Well, that also goes to a lot of the traditional money profit making and accounting methods, right? So we've been built into a financial world that isn't even of our own creation, ladies. And I promise you, if women had gotten a hold of financial education way back in the many years ago, we would not be where we are today. I truly believe this.
Yeah, but I think also that gives us the opportunity to really showcase our strengths in this area too, because yes, we're behind, but we can also jump ahead because we do have a lot of that creativity with us.
Yeah. So, and it was so funny because with Heidi, we've been looking at a lot around how women interact with money. And I know for a fact, and we've even had this conversation with multiple female entrepreneurs across the board, do you pay yourself first? And the answer resoundingly 90% of the time is no. Everybody else gets paid. The bills get paid, the kids get paid, the husband gets paid, the everybody else gets paid first. But and then whatever's left over, and I hear this all the time, Karen, though, and I'm sure you guys listen to this also, right? Who's the last person to buy clothes for? Yourself, typically, right? If there's kids in the household, you'll spend more money on taking care, make sure all the kids are clothed before you clothe yourself, right? You always worry about the kids eating first. And I hear this a lot, and I'm not saying this is the norm, but you hear this a lot around how the kids eat first and then the mom will eat second, right? Instead of eating together. But there's a lot of... And it's all over the place, right? So this isn't I would say the total norm. This isn't the setup, but these are things that I hear often, is that women will put everybody else before themselves. And in doing that, we've taken that into the business world too. We've put everyone else before ourselves. So when we were looking at how do we restructure money for women, how do we really look at what does it look like to have a seat at that table that everyone talks about, that financial table, to be able to give loans, make money, all this stuff. What does that look like for women? And the first thing that we came up against was women paying themselves first.
Yes.
Literally taking that profit first and putting profit aside, then having an owner's compensation account where there's a percentage, and there is a percentage, ladies, that you should be paying yourself for what you're creating. Now, what's also really interesting is when we started diving into this a little bit deeper, we realized we could apply this to teaching you how to structure the payments for your company. So if you're doing a coaching program, understanding how that money moves, because what we've been taught is the one bucket method. When you have one bank account, what do? Ooh, there's money there, right? We typically spend whatever money's in there, right? Guilty as charged. I've done the same thing. when I started separating out the money into different accounts, so there's a profit account, there's an owner's compensation account, there's a tax account. Now, most traditional banks don't want you opening up 50 accounts to manage your money because that's all those fees associated with it, right? So we've been on the search. And I'm somebody that likes to find stuff on the fringe, by the way, things that don't exist anywhere else, that nobody's having a common conversation around. So we actually found, through the support of this incredible book and method that we've been following, we found a bank that actually allows us to monetize that way, like actually allows us to do account distribution. And I thought, this is the information women need to have first and foremost, right? And so we are here, I think, Karen, all the time. We're always looking for that fringe information, right? The stuff that's just outside of what we're looking for. And we're discovering it. We're finding resources and tools that are specifically designed that we want women to embrace first to really have that unfair advantage in the world of business. Because there are a lot of tools out there that if women had access to or knew about, would totally blow everything out of the water. I truly, truly believe that.
Yeah, and honestly, like I'm tired of women feeling like they have to take second best.
Oh,
I'm tired of women feeling like I always have to serve someone else first. Not that there's anything wrong with serving other people. I want to make that super clear. There's nothing wrong with taking care of other people, making sure that they get fed, making sure that your kids get fed. Please do that. Like,
yes,
come on.
yes, for sure.
But in what way are you putting yourself first? If you're not doing that at all, you are literally okay at that point with scraps. You're okay with second best. And I'm tired of that mindset for women. And so that's what I feel like we've done with the mindset, the marketing, the money. Like we've literally taken all three of those things and we've said, okay, how can we showcase you as the female business owner that you actually are? Yeah. How can we actually help you realize that you can be that powerful CEO and that doesn't have to be a negative connotation to it? And one thing that you were saying this earlier, how like we serve other people, we serve our kids first. I actually have a really good friend who she has 3 kids that are not her own. They're her partner's kids. But she treats them like they are her kids. And one thing that she said to me yesterday that like breaks my heart that this is how she's looking at it, is that when those kids are in the other family's home, the oldest girl of the 3 kids is actually looking at her mom, and her mom can't leave the house without being completely dolled up, perfectly everything, all of that, right? So this girl comes to my friend's house, and because she wants to help her understand that it's okay to not be perfectly dolled up all the time, she kind of let herself go completely to prove the opposite point, but I feel like can be a negative way too. So both extremes are very negative. So, and she was talking about this yesterday and she's like, I think I went too far. Like, I don't think that this was a good idea. And I'm like, yeah, probably should also show her that it's important to take care of you first too. Yeah. And what you look like on the outside can sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, yes, it continues to help reinforce that we feel good. Yeah. If I feel good on the outside, it's going to help. Doesn't mean everything? No, absolutely not. Because like I said earlier, we can have this facade that we put up. We look great on the outside, but inside we feel like trash. But let's think about that too. Like there's another piece of the puzzle that if I'm always looking like trash, how does that start to seep into my self-worth? If I'm not taking care of me, if I'm always taking care of the kids and not focusing on what's going on outside as well.
There is a subconscious, and that goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning, which is the mindset piece, right? So it's finding that balance. And I think women are really at a unfair advantage right now is because we are really struggling to find that balance between working, having a business, taking care of our family. Like what's the blend? And I think one of the big things that we look at is the influence of social media. Dear Lord, help us all. I know we love to use it. I always say I love I
I
love
love it. Yeah.
media
For
for
yeah.
business. I hate it. And I will say this every single day to my dying day. I dislike it for its vanity
Mm-hmm.
and this destruction that it is also creating. So like
Absolutely.
you said, there's both sides. It's got both a positive and both a negative.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are always the extremes. There are going to be people that are going to abuse it, and there are going to be people that are going to fall victim to it also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think women are coming up against this perfectionism. So stop
Yeah.
it. Stop trying to be Pinterest perfect is one of the words I've heard, phrases I've heard, which I think is fantastic. Stop trying to have that perfect house, perfect look, perfect everything. Stop it. Right. And understand who you are at your core, which is beautiful. And but that's part of something that actually drove this conversation and building out Truth Bomb Academy was how many women were like unrelated to their own body,
Oh yeah.
right? Like had no awareness of their own body. They were looking at it and nitpicking everything about it, trying to measure it up against something else or somebody else, instead of teaching women to embrace and love who they are in the
Mm-hmm.
body that they're at and stop this comparatitis, which is really is a disease. Honestly, comparatitis is a disease for women where we compare ourselves saying, well, she's prettier, she looks better, she does this. We have to stop all that stuff. And I think what we teach inside of Unlocking My Millions with what you go with women is like getting back and recentering back into your body. Like you have to, I think women are so cut off from their bodies. I know I was for a
Oh,
long time.
absolutely. It's kind of sad, really.
I was so cut off. I was so trying to be in that masculine world that I was like, I have a vagina, I have boobs, I have a look, I have a figure, I have a certain way that my body is designed and it's okay. Right. But so many times women stand in the mirror and they're like, oh my God, I got a wrinkle. I got like, we're so
Good for
judgmental of our own
you. You're
body.
beautiful, babe.
Right. And it's like, what if you started loving on yourself? And I think that goes back into like the mindset piece. Like, when can you as a woman start loving yourself for who you are and everything you've experienced in your life and be like, I'm blessed and grateful for this look and how my body has transitioned, for giving birth to children if you've gone through that process, for whatever you've gone through in your life, your body holds that. And instead of beating yourself up around it, start loving yourself, because like you said, that internal beauty that you start to feel about yourself is actually projected physically, externally out to the rest of the world.
Mhm.
So that the whole thing around self-esteem, everything else like that, like you teach Karen, honestly, like in 5 minutes, 5 minutes, how just to get back to your center.
Oh yeah. I
5 minutes, ladies. Like,
yeah.
what would your life look like if you figured out, and if Karen could show you in just 5 minutes a day how to fall in love with yourself and the miracles it would unlock for everybody and everything in your whole entire life. Like, it really is a beautiful thing when you look at it from that perspective.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I mean, what would this world look like if more people loved themselves? And I'm not talking about a selfish love.
No,
I'm talking about you look at yourself inside and out and you say,
damn, I'm beautiful.
God damn. Yeah. I just have so much to offer people just by being me.
Mm-hmm.
Just by being a human being, I have so much worth. I have so much potential.
Yep.
And so many times, especially in our world and our culture that is very heavily, you have to do this to be a good person, you have to be productive to be worthy. Bull crap. I'm sorry. Yeah. You are worthy because you are you. And what would our world look like if more people accepted that?
Yeah.
I get chills thinking about it, because I think that that is really the piece of the puzzle that more and more people in today's day and age, women, men, doesn't matter, but I think that's the piece of the puzzle that people are looking for but don't even know.
Yeah.
I remember being in my religious background and people saying, oh, you have this God-shaped hole in your heart. No, I have a me love shaped hole in my heart. Because when I actually grabbed that and I understood that, I felt so good about me no matter what I've done. No matter what mistakes I've made, no matter what's happened today, no matter what happened 10 years ago, I loved me so much then it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So I realized that I was what I was looking for the whole time. And when I realized that, it started to project itself in my life, in my
Hold on. I'm going to
business.
stop you right there because I don't think anyone heard that. But you were who you were looking for your whole life. And that is such a key moment. I hope everyone here on Clapper and here on YouTube watching us live that you got that.
Mm-hmm.
We are so caught up, not you, we are so caught up. And I will actually say, yeah, you are so caught up in all the vanity and the ego of it all that what you don't realize is who you're looking for is yourself,
It's
your
me.
true
Yeah.
self. And when
Yeah.
you can fall in love with yourself, everything, manifesting, money, mindset, all of this that starts to shift for you. And these are the hidden gems. Honestly, these are the little secrets that are hidden in like one-page sentences of books. You're finding these little droplets. I'm somebody that's out looking for connection all the time. And what I mean by connection is there are so many books out there and they all give a piece to the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're somebody like me, I'm always looking to find those pieces and start putting that puzzle together because information has been dispersed across the continents, dispersed across the globe, dispersed throughout books. And what's beautiful is that our entrepreneurs out there, the amazing ones that have been building businesses for centuries and years, have given us glimpses of this information. And it's really been up to us as women to decipher this. And what's funny for me, honestly, Karen, is that I feel like women have the bigger influence in all of this information that's coming from our male counterparts. There's actually these hidden gems that women have gifted to men and men have used and turned into words. And it's now unlocking that for women. So we're actually like peeling back the layers of what's being said and saying, this women is what we do really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is our superpower. This is our genius. And I love how many times, Karen, have we gone through and worked with one of our clients and those that are going through the Unlocking My Millions and the aha moments they're having. And they're even saying, holy crap, if I would to do this one activity that you had us do, I'd pay 20 grand for.
Yeah.
Right.
Those are big words, guys. Like, this is somebody too that has been through, like, paid 20 grand for training in the past.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. And so she knows what it means to spend a lot of money, but for her to look at this one activity and go, I would pay that much for this. That's huge because that's helping more women get back to themselves at the end of the day. And that's really what it is for me. I don't know about you, but words are hard.
On, Karen,
I don't know about you, Katrina.
Together. Yes, it's all about unlocking women. It's all about them getting back to themselves. Like, that's why we built Truth Bomb. Why do you think we called this company Truth Bomb? Right? Because these are the truth bombs for women.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I do think that this is creating a movement for women, that it's not going to be just for the business, because that's not how we look at our life. We look at everything in that way where it's like, wait, if my business is doing well, or if this part of my life is doing well, it starts to trickle into all parts of our lives. Because that's how we look at our life. Like, if something's not going well at home, it's not going to feel good in our business, or vice versa. Like, we look at our life in that holistic way. And so how can we, at the end of the day, look at ourselves and going, instead of looking outside of us and going, oh, that's not good, so that means that I'm not good. What if instead we did it, and instead of outside in, we did an inside out perspective, where we went, wait a minute, like, am I good inside or am I not good inside? Because what happens is when you're good inside, it becomes good outside. Regardless, here's the beautiful thing, regardless of what's happening, you could be in a blown up whatever, and you would be like, man, my life's awesome. I have a great life. And I know, because I've experienced this. I've talked to people that have also experienced this, that have maybe had bigger issues in their life than I could ever dream of. People that have been, I forget what this girl, there's this story of a girl that I think she was in some sort of, she's in a third world country, and they're very oppressed, right? Very oppressed third world country. And in pictures, she just looks really rattled and her hair's a mess, everything's a mess, but she's got a big smile on her face. You would never know that she was in such an oppressive place because she had such a big smile on her face because she felt good inside.
Hmm.
This is really, really powerful when you really understand that what's going on inside tends to be a reflection of what's going on outside eventually.
Yeah. They always, and we hear this a lot as women, they always talk about inner beauty. There's a lot of truth behind that. That's a truth
Yeah.
bomb right there. I'm telling you right now, the inner beauty of who you are, whether in its humanity, but that loving you're made and created for is a beautiful thing, right? And I know Iante is hanging out with us here on Clapper, and I'm just giving her a shout out even though we're here too. The last thing I want to wrap up is coming to the top of the hour. You know, when we were putting together the Female Millionaire Code, because we recognize that women, and I swear to you, God, I'm so pissed again. I saw an article. Everything pisses me off right now because it's so bull crap out there. I came across an article, and I think it was either Inc. or Forbes, right? Or Entrepreneur or something magazine. And it said how to be a female millionaire. And I read through the article, curious if there's anything that would change. And it's all the same crap that's been told to us as women. It's like work hard, persevere. I think the only truth bomb I found out of that whole article was who do you surround yourself by?
Mm.
And for me, the truth behind that one is that as women, if we're going to be embracing a new way to do business, a new model, a female business model for building our business, we actually have to surround ourselves by women who think are willing to shift into that mindset, because the world, that 90% of the world out there will push against that. So the 10% of women that are willing to take on this new female business model and learn how to plan and build a business into your strengths are going to bump up against the 90% of training information. So where do you go to protect your mindset? Where do you go to protect your knowledge? And that's where we really had to create something that was off social media, off all the websites, and create an app for this, because we wanted to give women permission and a safe place to really explore and be in this protected environment, right? And it is about integrity, Ayante. It's absolutely about integrity. It's about protecting women, and it's about giving us a true place to unlock ourselves. And that's the whole thing. Like, we started off with this idea to change humanity for women, change the business world. But like you said, Karen, it's going to impact every aspect of our lives. It already has impacted our lives. I mean, look at where we've gone this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And honestly, I look back at this year and I go, I wouldn't do it any other way.
Oh, God, no.
And the thing is that things haven't necessarily gone the way that we anticipated. But I go, wait a minute. What was the piece of the puzzle that I needed to understand on a deeper level?
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you actually grab those little nuggets of truth that you learn along the way, you go, I wouldn't do it any other way. That was beautiful how it happened. That was exactly what needed to happen, when it needed to happen, how it needed to happen, because now I understand on a deeper level. Because a lot of times we have these surface level understandings. And when we start to go deeper, and then we realize we can go deeper, and then we can go even deeper, there becomes a whole new us that shows up at the end of the day. And this is what I want for more female entrepreneurs, that you actually get a deeper sense of who you are at your core.
Yeah.
What is my soul desire? What does my soul desire? That is deep. When you can get there and not just the surface of,
you're truly unstoppable when you can get there.
Truly
unstoppable.
Absolutely. Like,
you know, and it's amazing. And I'm not cutting you off here, but I really like I'm not watching time here. The thing is that women do want to get out of their jobs. Women do want to go and create and make and do something different in their business. They really do want to do something differently. The thing is, and I will keep saying this, Karen, you and I both know, if they continue to follow the male model of business, they're continuing to be on a path that's going to destine to fail them, overwhelm them, or cause them so much stress in their life, they're not going to know what to do themselves, right? To get out of the job, to get fully into entrepreneurship, they have to evolve and totally embrace the 3M method, right? That's why we created the Female Millionaire Code, because we knew we had to crack the code. There's no reason only 2% of women are female millionaires, right?
It's
We
sad.
have to crack, and we've cracked the code. We've actually cracked it enough that we have women going, holy crap, right? For the
Over and
first
over
time.
again. Ha!
Yeah. They're going through the training again because they're like just so enthralled with the way that this is being set up. And they're like, why isn't no one else teaching this? I said, because it took us to create it. You know, like when you say we're on this journey, this is why we call it the 3M to profit. Because every time I go online, I see the 10x your profits or 100 times your profits or how to get to your profits. Like, women don't follow that same mentality, but we can 3M to profits, and we can 3M to millions much faster and much easier than what we've been traditionally taught out there. It's possible. So, shameless plug. Karen, shameless plug.
Yeah, Female Millionaire Code. We're actually going live with this tomorrow. So if you want to hang out with us tomorrow, you should. There's going to be a link. If you're here on YouTube, there's a link in the description. If you're on Clapper, there's a link in our bio. So you should do that. So
yeah, because this, it really is going to take all the women. It's going to take women embracing this new method. And it's going to take you being surrounded by women that think and grow this way for their business. Because it really had to be reimagined. And I will tell you, even for Karen and I, ladies, it took us a while to get through this. Like, we had to rewire ourselves.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I had been doing this methodology with my mindset for a while. And I think you and Heidi at one point were like, wait a minute, is that right?
No, well, for me, you've always, like, I get this because I've been in the self-development world. Because when you talked about, like, you take that moment as an entrepreneur and you're saying, there's something within me that I've got to fix. There's something in here that I've got to get present back to. And in that journey, while it's just a little different path than yours, I've always recognized that the mindset and the ability for women and for human beings to get present back to who they are and how much of this world we're connected to has been the fundamental foundation of everything I've done moving forward from that moment. Right. I've literally been surrounded by some of the most incredible people that can manifest at a drop of a hat. And all it asks is for them to speak the words and it's there. Like they say chair and chair falls down or shows up. Like, that's the beauty of being able to fall in love with yourself, is that you recognize just what an incredible human being you are and just how connected and how much power you really have. But you've got to tune in. And women, we don't tune into our bodies. But this is your vessel. This is your home. You are dwelling here. You are connected to this body. And if you're not connecting into the soul, the heart, the anatomy of this, you have a vagina, use it, damn it. And I don't mean just to create kids. I mean, in the power and grace that it provides to you, plug into that. That's the beauty. Dear Lord, get into this world, everybody. Yeah, you got these love and truth bombs over here. And, you know, I've got to wrap up because I've got to get going here. It's at the top of the hour. But Karen, any last things to share? I feel like this is a good conversation.
Just hang out with us tomorrow night because we're going to be having some fun on the Female Millionaire Code, 3M to profit.
She always sings a ditty. I love this about her.
Yes.
Couldn't ask for a more amazing business partner in the world. Let's be honest. Yeah. So there we go. All right. So thanks everybody for joining us here on Clapper. And for joining us here on YouTube Live. We are here YouTube Live every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come play with us. Come engage with us on this conversation. You can find us at Truth Bomb Marketing on YouTube. Let us continue this conversation, share, support. And if you know anybody else that could benefit from this, share it with them also, because we're out to impact. And to do that, it takes all of us, ladies. So with that, Karen.